Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Hoskell here out in Liberty County, Montana. Today is December 7th, 2025. It's a Sunday. A week ago, December 3rd, I posted an online video entitled, St. Paul, You Did It! Congratulations, Mayor-elect Kali Her. And I also emailed that video to quite a few people back in Minnesota primarily, and I'd like to read that email to you right now. Heading goes, so proud of St. Paul on 11/4/2025, comma, Biden/Harris 2.0 coming to St. Paul. Greetings all. It has been a month since St. Paul said, thank you, Mayor Carter, for your public service, but we will now hire someone new. I'm so proud of St. Paul and so proud of Mayor-elect Kali Her and her team's success. While I'm an independent and 100% nonpartisan, and ladies and gentlemen, that's the truth, and I do not support all of Ms. Her's platform and past record in the Minnesota House, I am still optimistic that she will raise St. Paul back onto a higher path and confident that she'll bring new talent and a friendlier and definitely more accountable atmosphere to City Hall. Second page. Mayor Carter has been the likely planned running mate for Governor Walz for many months. It's been an open secret. The likely announcement was being withheld until after he was reelected. Most local media outlets knew but said nothing or glossed it over, such as the Star Tribune did. His losing re-election shocked them all. Still, it remains a high probability he will become Governor Walz's running mate. However, as the numerous and even historic failings of Governor Walz are now rapidly unfolding, and the local and even national media who have been protecting him can no longer hide it, expect Governor Walz to withdraw his re-election bid soon enough, and Mayor Carter will then be brought out of the closet to step in. St. Paul, Minnesota, and America will then witness the Biden-Harris situation 2.0 in full, but on a smaller scale, and what Mayor Carter has done to St. Paul will be on full display. Governor Walz and Mayor Carter, who have too often been bullies during their political careers, ladies and gentlemen, that's true. If we look at it objectively, they have been frequently bullies. I know some people say, well, other politicians are that way, and it's like, Minnesota and St. Paul should have higher standards than that. Again, Governor Walz and Mayor Carter, who have too often been bullies during their political careers, and who are showing heightened now who are now showing heightened bravado, and they are, maybe also two of the most nervous men in America right now. I will have another video out soon, and that's coming out this. And now the next video here is a few words for Governor Walz, and then there will be a third video with another message from me to you. Thank you and cheers. Bill Hoskell here, out in Liberty County, Montana. Just beyond those mountains is Alberta. We're way in far northern Montana. I moved out here a couple months ago. I needed a break from St. Paul, my hometown. This message is for Governor Walz. Governor Walz, you're seeking a third term. You don't deserve it. I don't know. It's just shocking to see. And I'm not partisan, ladies and gentlemen. I used to be a Democrat. I'm just purely in the middle. I'm conservative on some issues and liberal on the others, you might say. But Governor Walz, you are a bully. Okay, you embarrassed the state in front of the entire country when you were Kamala Harris's running mate. I think she made a grave error selecting you, but you know, that's the way it is. But you're always out there trying to pretend or project that you're this he-man. Never seen anything like it. You know, I liken it, you're actually like a beta male wanting people to think you're an alpha male, and I don't know why you're preoccupied with that. But you're always belittling people. You talk about diversity, but when people disagree with you, you put them down. You're all about gun control, but yet, you know, you're out there with a shotgun trying to look like a he-man when you're campaigning for lieutenant governor. You didn't even know how to load a shotgun. And then you're wearing chaps and you're walking through grass that's no higher than your knees. And most hunters don't need to do that. And then you're surrounded by security. They're all wearing guns as well. All of these are assault weapons, yet you're against assault weapons. Well, whatever, that's another issue. But you're always picking on people, and I've heard you were, you know, you're using the word, I'm going to kick their ass. And it's like, well, what governor would say that? And all of this bullying behavior, I could quote things, but it's not really worth it, but all of this bullying behavior and the swear words, etc., etc. And what message does this send to the populace, and particularly the young people? And I really think you owe the people of Minnesota an apology. I really think you should drop out of the race. The Democrats should actually give you a push and get you out. And then the other thing is, talking about kicking ass, so I invite you, Governor Walz, to come out to Montana and kick my ass. Okay, we're out in Liberty County. I don't know that you ever visited this state when you were running for lieutenant governor, but I invite you out here. You know, the men out here are men, and a lot of the women, well, a lot of the women are even tougher. So Mayor Walz, gay man to gay man, come out here and kick my ass and show Minnesota and Montana and America how tough you really are. And if it doesn't fit in your schedule, since you're campaigning for re-election back in Minnesota, you tell me the time and place back there, and I will go back and we'll see who can kick whose ass. Okay? Cheers. A few more thoughts for you regarding the governor's race, Mayor Carter, etc. The ongoing stories, now plural, regarding fraud in the state of Minnesota against taxpayers, Minnesota and U.S. taxpayers. I think it's going to push Walz out of the race. He'll go kicking and screaming. And I'm also on record for saying I believe Melvin Carter will be put in his place, however, with reservations by the powers that be. And again, these opinions are not partisan in any way, ladies and gentlemen. So, as this story's been unfolding the last couple of weeks, particularly, President Trump made some comments on it, which he's entitled to. Some of them I think were unfortunate. He made blanket comments regarding Somalis in Minnesota and America. Shouldn't have done it. But I'm not going to debate that right now. And so in return, and they had every right to do so, of course, the mayors of St. Paul and Minneapolis, Mayor Carter and Mayor Frey, who was just reelected to a third term, and Mayor Carter was just not reelected to a third term by the people who knew him best. That press conference, if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to. I think it was a great missed opportunity on the part of both gentlemen, and then all of the background audience and the police chief being there and putting his 3 cents in. It shouldn't have been any of that. It should have been just the two mayors having a conversation with you, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. But if you look at the video, they came across as angry and I think immature, unmayoral. But you know, they've been doing this for years and they've never really been called out on it. I'm walking slow because we got about 6, 7, 8 inches of snow here. And you know, that it doesn't seem to me they really address the heart of these issues. This is, I mean, it's historic fraud on multiple levels. And Congresswoman Omar, you know, none of them apologized for it happening. It shouldn't have happened. Not under the mayor's watch, not under Congressman Omar's watch, not under Governor Walz's watch. It shouldn't have happened. And she made a comment, there should have been more guardrails. Okay, whose job was it to make sure there were guardrails in place so that fraud could not be perpetuated against the taxpayers of Minnesota and the United States? So their press conference, you know, they weren't contrite. They had the ability to raise the bar on this whole topic. I mean, really raise it up nice and be very dignified, and they didn't do it. And then Mayor Carter, as planned, was allowed to speak last, and he's acting all tough. Both men are doing that, and they shouldn't be doing that. At all times when you're speaking, when you're an elected official and you're speaking in public, you be a role model as best you possibly can for society, for younger people, and even kids. But Mayor Carter spoke last, and he's acting all tough. And then they, you know, go filing out of there. And so I'm on record, and I'll say it again. I think Governor Walz is going to be pushed out of there by the sane members of the Democrat Party. Not only in Minnesota, but in America. And with reluctance, outgoing Mayor Melvin Carter will be brought forward. And I'm going to tell you this in all honesty. His record is one of the worst in America. You know what, also, I wanted to say this. For all of his outrage, I call it feigned outrage, actually. You know, he's up there acting all tough. You know, here's a little, it's getting dark, so the resolution on this might be fading at this point. But you know, neither Melvin Carter or I are tall men. Actually, I think we're both 5'6". Wet, he weighs 140 pounds. Dry, I weigh 165. But yeah, when his record of how things happen, oh, I know, I lost my train of thought there. I'll get back on it now. Where was his outrage every time there was a murder in St. Paul? Okay, during his tenure as mayor, there were more murders than any mayor in St. Paul's history. During his tenure as mayor, there was more general crime, more break-ins, more robberies, more vehicles stolen than any mayor in St. Paul's history. Record number of businesses left, closed, incomes destroyed, families destroyed because of crime. Shoplifting has become normalized. Where is Mayor Carter's outrage over any of that? You know, 4 years ago, and I ran for mayor back there as well. And I'm out here in Liberty County. You know, parts of the video talks about this, but I'll add it right now. I'm out in Liberty County, Montana. If your eyesight's good or the resolution's good, there's a mountain in the background. There are a couple of them, and just past those is Alberta. So I'm about 35 miles from Canada, and love it out here. Absolutely love it. Moved out here in late July. Will I go back to St. Paul? I might, yeah, maybe in the spring, in the summer, but I'm definitely out here through the fall and winter. I love it. But getting back to Mayor Carter's record, it's been protected. It's been hidden by the media back there. And I guarantee if he steps into, I don't care if it's the lieutenant governor slot, you know, with Walz, or the gubernatorial slot, that record's going to be out, and it's going to be brutally bad. And Walz is talking all tough about kicking ass. Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Carter's ass is going to get kicked in a very public fashion, in a way he would have never imagined. It's all sad. I mean, so much of the bad things that have happened, all this historic fraud, so much of what happened in St. Paul under his tenure did not need to happen. So my advice to the Democrats back there, you ought to escort Walz out of the scene and say thanks, but no thanks to Mayor Carter. If you look at that video, the press conference, he was obviously auditioning for the part of lieutenant governor candidate, or if not the gubernatorial candidate himself. But the Democrats back there, you need to say thank you to both men and find somebody, you know what, maybe they're kind of unknown. There's nothing wrong with that. But somebody who's sane and stable and has empathy, is a good communicator, has maybe accomplished something in their life. And then the Republican field, there's some good candidates. I'm speaking objectively. And then you throw in what, Mike Lindell from My Pillow? I don't know. I'm just speaking objectively. He's like a combination of Jessie Ventura and Donald Trump. And some of you watching this, that might just make you really livid. Others might make you cheer. But those of you, the thought of that making you livid, all the more reason you better help those two men, Walz and Carter, move along. Okay, thank you for your time. It's getting dark. The resolution's really bad now, but I'll walk you around, see if you can see something here. Let's see. There's a road not too far away, so you might have been hearing the traffic. That's the little tiny, tiny town of Lothair, Montana. And my property is just across the way from it. And soon we're going to be hearing some train horns blow. Isn't that great? Now it'll be a short one. And now a long one. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're at, have a good day. I'm not going to be doing another video until January. So if you're seeing this before the holidays, I hope you have a great holiday season and a truly great 2026. Cheers.